What's happening, Nerd Squad, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host for today, Taylor McWaters, and we're here with a cheeky part 2 because you wanted more. I think, probably, most likely. Last time we were here, we were breaking down some powerful superheroes who got a godly upgrade, and well, it happens quite often in comics, so now we're at a part 2. So without further ado, here are the top 10 superheroes who became gods, part 2. Let's do it. Kicking off the list at number 10, The Flash. Of course, this one is epic. We gotta start with it. In part 1 of this list, we talked about when Batman sat upon the Mobius chair, so it's only fair if we take a look at Barry Allen's fun little upgrade in Darkseid War Chapter 4, The Death of Darkseid. Now this is when Darkseid's daughter Grail summons the Anti-Monitor to go toe-to-toe with Big Guns himself. So Darkseid summoned the Black Racer in retaliation, but when the Anti-Monitor stripped the Racer of Darkseid's control, it was then merged with Barry Allen, which is quite the combination. And then after that point, he was able to take on Darkseid a little easier, to say the least. Number 9, Doctor Strange. When we're talking about superheroes becoming a god, Doctor Strange wouldn't be far off that description as it is. I mean, he's quite cosmic as it is, but in Doctor Strange issue 385, the Sorcerer Supreme lost the mantle to, well, Loki. Loki's tricks made Stephen hand over his magical possessions and the Sanctum Sanctorum, everything that belonged to him that made him special. He was like, bye, gotta go. So Strange had to become a veterinarian, just a total career flip, which is great. So then Strange had to break into Asgard, find the world tree, and then once he was there, Strange had to make an offering, and the tree opened his third eye, so he found what needed to be done. He had to make an offering, a sacrifice really, so he grabbed Bats, his dog, who Loki kind of already took care of, and then Strange felt nothing like before. He felt more magic than he's ever known. And after this point, Strange says he can see everything because he is everything. He is a god of magic. Kind of like David Blaine. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, that would be great. You're the best. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get right back into this list. No more wasted time. Number 8, Batman. Okay, back in 1994, best year ever, comic book fans were delighted when the Elseworld storylines were launched. Now there was one shot that had Bruce Wayne become a Green Lantern, and it was pretty epic. A couple times superheroes become lanterns, and I'm gonna count them as a god for a few of them because, well, you can't really argue it too much. Batman in Darkest Night finds Bruce Wayne starting his path as the Caped Crusader, but that's when Abin Sur crashes down to Earth, and that ring that once belonged to him has to find a suitable replacement. Now it ended up finding Bruce Wayne instead of Hal Jordan. And he looks great as a lantern. I mean, honestly, his skills already mixed with his new ability makes him unstoppable, really. I mean, Bruce wasn't the only one to acquire a ring also. The Rogue Lantern, Sinestro, merged with Joe Chill, the guy who was responsible for the death of Bruce's parents. So the stakes are high, the punches are hard, it's a good time. If you haven't checked out Batman in Darkest Night, I suggest you do it, especially if you're looking for more Batman, godly type comics. That's the way to go. Number 7, Cosmic Spider-Man. Of course, we gotta use this guy. Cosmic Spider-Man, aka Captain Universe, is one of the most powerful versions of the web slinger. Cosmic Spidey went toe-to-toe with Rune King Thor and beat him. He was like, no problem, I can do it again. Cosmic Spider-Man isn't from our Earth, he's actually from Earth 13. That's where he retains the power of the Enigma Force, and he first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, Issue 9. Now Cosmic Spidey can't leave his universe or else, well, he would lose the Enigma Force. That's why the resistance of spider heroes always goes to Earth 13. They're like, hey, don't leave, we need you with the powers, we'll come to your house. It's kind of like when your friend's on house arrest and you're like, you know what, we'll come to your place tonight. You know, those scenarios that we're all in. What a weird example. He meets his demise only a couple issues later, but it was fun while it lasted. When the Inheritors were hunting down Spider-Man, their leader Solus drained the Enigma Force from Peter, but we can find more of him in What If Volume 2, Issue 31, titled What If Spider-Man Had Kept Those Cosmic Powers. You see the best of both worlds, Miley Cyrus style. Number 6, Black Widow. In What If Age of Ultron, Issue 3, one of our timelines gets a little messy. See, the Midgard serpent took down all of the Avengers. It was just wreaking havoc, and it killed them all. Well, I mean, mostly all of them. See, Thor bites the bullet during this battle, which leads to Ragnarok, and then everybody who has superpowers is just not around anymore. It's bad. So a whole month goes by with Natasha and the team trying to stay alive, battling every day. Then eventually, Natasha comes up with her own little secret side quest. Mjolnir is in the same spot as it was before, obviously. So while the team is going forward with their own plan of blasting every weapon that they have at the serpent, Natasha sneaks off, reaches out for Mjolnir, reminds the team that they're a bunch of regular humans fighting a god's war, and then seconds later becomes a god herself. The old serpent situation was a little easier to handle after that. I gotta say, Natasha looks pretty good with the hammer. Looks pretty, she could probably kill a lot of people with that. Number 5, the Golden Oldie. Okay, now hear me out. I know Aunt May can't swing building to building like Peter. She wasn't a hero before, technically, but she was one in Marvel Team Up 134. In many ways. See, it's Aunt May, Franklin Richards, and Galactus. The classic trio. After Nova died due to his lack of energy, Galactus came to our rock in space and asked for Reed Richards to help out. Well, rather, he finds Franklin Richards and picks him as the new Herald. But Aunt May steps in front of him to prevent this from happening. So I'm gonna say that this moment right here, this regular human saving the day, Aunt May, she is now a hero. It's decided, now she's a hero. And then page 12 and 13, just seconds later, she becomes the Golden Oldie, which already sounds epic. But then when Aunt May finds out from Franklin that Galactus has a thing for Twinkies, the new Herald of Galactus, Golden Oldie Aunt May, searches the universe far and wide until she finds the best planet in the world, the Twinkie planet. So yummy. Which is a much more delicious planet for Galactus when it comes to feeding time. So she saved the day and also the planet. Way to go, Aunt May. Number 4, Captain America. Yeah, I should probably mention this one, seeing that I almost choked on my peanut M&Ms when it happened. Captain America, Tony Stark, and Thor. The big three are going toe-to-toe with Thanos and Avengers Endgame in the third act. Now, the odds aren't looking good at this time. All the snapped heroes haven't really returned yet, so it's still looking not good. Tony is unconscious, Thor is about to get his own axe through his chest, and then Steve hucks Mjolnir at Thanos, and then the theater went nuts. Cap plus the hammer of the gods equals really fun CGI, a lot of good CGI. Cap lifted Mjolnir back in the late 80s in Thor 390, titled The Hero and the Hammer, so it's happened once before. But when Cap had the hammer, he didn't really enjoy the powers of a god. He said they were intoxicating, sure, but it belonged to Thor, so he quickly tossed it back to its rightful owner. What a gem. But those 6 guys got smoked by Cap with the hammer in that initial pull. Like, as soon as he picked it up, those 6 guys are like, that was crazy. Iron Man was actually the first to lift the hammer back in Avengers 122, back in the mid-70s. But then the hammer rules were a little bit different. You see, you could lift the hammer if you were in space, and you could lift it if Thor was also lifting at the same time, but like, it doesn't really count. It's like when your little brother plays a game with you, but the controller's not plugged in. It's like, it looks cool, but you're not doing much. Number 3, Barry Allen. Making his first debut in Showcase issue 4 way back in the 1950s, Barry Allen, aka The Flash, aka the fastest man alive, has been a founding member of the Justice League, and after an experiment gave him super speed, he's been saving the day at blink and you'll miss it speeds. But then during the events of Blackest Night, Barry is being targeted by a black ring and is forced to get out of there, or else, you know, he joined the others as a Black Lantern. And then in issue 2 of Blackest Night, The Flash, Barry, is chosen to be the wielder of the blue power ring of hope, which adds to the super speed stuff quite a bit. So now he has the ability to heal other lanterns, and now he could even fly on top of his speed, which is pretty new for Barry. His imagination is only the limit here when it comes to powers, and he ends up partnering with fellow Blue Lantern Saint Walker in order to save Barry's grandson, Bart Allen. So it really works out for the best. They kind of kill it. Number 2, Mr. Fantastic. Since the early Fantastic Four days back in the 60s, Reed Richards has been known to be the stretchy smart guy, right? Now, in fact, he's considered one of the smartest people on Earth. He's a polymath who has mastered all of the sciences, be it electrical, chemistry, physics, aerospace engineering, that's a big one. But after the events of Secret Wars, Reed got an even bigger advantage when he convinced Molecule Man to strip Dr. Doom of his powers and instead give Reed the Omega upgrade. So after this, Mr. Fantastic was able to destroy Battleworld, rebuild Earth 616, and also bring his family back from the dead. Must be nice, that's pretty sick. And finally, number 1, Superman. Yeah, whenever the Man of Steel gets another upgrade, it's bound to be pretty impressive, even closer to god level. Now, I know he was already a god before, kind of with his powers, but it just gets even better. Before Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor went against each other in Darkseid War, Superman and Lex were taken to Apocalypse, which was a mess, of course. And on top of that, there wasn't a sun in the sky, so Superman was getting to that 20% battery notification pretty quickly. Things aren't looking hopeful. He's losing his powers, it's not looking great. Lex had this brilliant last resort idea where Superman would fly down into the planet because it's filled with sun fire. Sure, not a bad call at all. But what ends up happening is far greater than they expected. The dark energy charged Superman back up, but it also turned him into a negative version. Not like, you know, he was sad, he didn't listen to like Evanescence and stuff, but he was the god of strength now, and also his morals just went out the window, so it made for a pretty entertaining ride. It was a nice change. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Top 10 Nerd. Those have been our superheroes that have turned into gods part 2. Let us know in the comments if a part 3 is what you desire. In fact, let us know anything you want to see in future videos, and odds are we'll we'll get around to it at some point. Thank you so much for your support. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters, and we'll see you next time on Top 10 Nerd. Peace.